If I were to say the UK or England, what would pop into your head? The bustling city of London, a red double-decker bus, or a red phone booth? I'd probably guess that's what most of you are thinking. Not turquoise waters and beautiful beaches, but I'm here to surprise you with this charming seaside town just an hour south of London. Let's take a look at the top 10 things to do in Brighton. First up, we have the symbol of Brighton that you'll see on all the taxis. It's the Royal Pavilion and Gardens, which honestly might shock you because it does not feel like you're in the UK or by the beach at all. It was built between 1787 and 1823 for King George IV, who wanted the exterior to be inspired by India and the interior to be inspired by China. So you feel completely transported when you're walking through the gardens here, and it's seriously magical. The gardens are free to enter, but the palace does cost £18 if you do want to go inside and see the interior. Now let's talk about Brighton Beach and the seafront, since that's the main attraction to visiting Brighton. It's a stone beach, so it's not sand, but it has surprisingly turquoise waters, and you know, I'm not sure what I expected when I was looking at the English Channel water, but I definitely did not think it would be this clear and this turquoise. So just like any other beach, you know, it's a great place to plop down, get some sun, take a dip in the sea. You can even go on the Brighton Beach zip line, where you can zip line along the beach at about 32 meters up in the air, and it costs £19. The seafront is this paved road that follows the beach. It's a super nice walk, super chill, so you can grab an ice cream cone, start walking, and see some things that are next on the list. First up is the Brighton i360, which might be actually one of the first things that you see in Brighton, simply because of how tall and how massive it is. You can pay £18 to go up. It's 162 meters high, and you get 360-degree views of all of Brighton. It's insane, which is obviously why it's called the i360. The entire ride takes about 20-25 minutes, and it's super popular around sunset times every day. So if you do want to do that, make sure you do book that in advance. Next, we have the Hove beach boxes, or the Brighton bathing boxes. I've heard it said both ways, and honestly I'm not really sure which is the correct term. And honestly, they're just colorful little wooden boxes along the seafront. It's a super cute photo opportunity. I actually went to some Brighton beach boxes when I was solo traveling in Melbourne, Australia, so I thought it was fun to compare the two. The Melbourne ones are a lot better in my opinion, but it's still worth a visit here in Brighton. Next up, we have the upside down house, which is just a cool photo op. You can pay £7 to go inside, but honestly I wouldn't spend the money to do that. I would just snap a few photos from the outside and keep walking down that seafront. Now we have Brighton West Pier. This is actually the original pier, built in 1866. And what we now know as the Brighton Palace Pier was actually built in 1899. So the two piers were in competition. So they transformed the West Pier into a concert hall in 1916, but unfortunately it pretty much all collapsed during a storm in 2002. And then 3 months later, what little was left of it was caught on fire. And everybody to this day thinks that it's arson, but they don't have any proof or evidence to show that it actually was arson. So now the structure just remains out there. It just sits there as a little reminder of what used to be. So since I just mentioned it, now let's talk about the Brighton Palace Pier. It extends out into the English Channel for about half a kilometer and has a full-on amusement park at the end. It kind of reminds me of Santa Monica Pier back home. I'm from Los Angeles, so it's on a much bigger scale though. So if carnival rides aren't really your thing, it's still a nice place to walk, you know, admire the beach views, grab some fish and chips, or shop at the little stalls. And it's also just an iconic photo opportunity to take photos of the famous Brighton Palace Pier sign or of the beach down below. Next, we have the lanes. So Brighton originally was just a small fishing village, and this was the center of that village. So it's now been turned into one of the best places to shop and eat in the entire city. It's pretty much like a labyrinth of narrow alleyways that are filled with bright colors, unique thrift stores, cozy coffee shops. There are actually 400 shops in this teeny tiny area, so I promise you can be occupied for hours. It definitely gives you, you know, kind of hipster vibes as you're walking around, and is a super awesome place to get some photos. Next, we have Banksy Kissing Coppers, which is just another cool photo op. You know, Brighton is full of them. It originally was a piece by Banksy of two male cops kissing passionately, hence the name Kissing Coppers. And now it's just covered with faces of all kinds of celebrities and crazy colors, so it's just a super fun photo op for sure. And lastly, at number 10, we have something that I actually just discovered a few days ago on my walk and haven't seen any blogs or vlogs talk about, so I'm excited to share this one. It's called Sea Lanes. So if you continue to walk down the seafront towards the opposite direction of Hove, you'll reach Kemp Town. It's not a far walk at all, just a few minutes, but when you get to the sea lanes, you'll see about 8-ish little wooden buildings right on the sand, along with a swimming pool and some beach volleyball courts. It's a super cute place to stroll, pop into the shops for some shopping, or grab coffee or brunch on the rooftop at Fika. Their sandwiches are really, really good. And there's super beautiful views, cool vibes, you know, just a chill way to spend a few hours before you plop down on the beach or get some sun. Now let's talk about a few day trips that are super easily accessible from Brighton. First, we'll have my personal favorite, which are the Seven Sisters. So you buy a train ticket from Brighton to Seaford. It'll only be a few pounds and it'll take about 45-ish minutes. Right when you hop off the train at Seaford, it's just a few minutes walk to the start of the Seven Sisters Cliff Trail, and oh my god, it is absolutely stunning. I never even knew this place existed, so I'm so thankful for our friends who live here in Brighton who took us here on our first weekend, and I was just absolutely in awe. I'd heard of the White Cliffs of Dover a million times, but honestly never knew that these existed, and they're so much closer to Brighton. So this hike is pretty moderate. It goes super steep uphill and then downhill and then flat, and then before repeating the process for each of the 7 peaks of the Seven Sisters. And you can choose to hike as long as you want. You know, we hiked all the way to the end, which ended at Burling Gap Beach. From here, we were able to take a direct bus back to Brighton, so we didn't have to go back to Seaford and then hop on the train. We just ended there, took the bus back to Brighton, and it worked out that way. But of course, you know, you do have the option to hike back to Seaford and take the train back the same way that you came and buy that round trip ticket if you want. Next up, we have Lewes Castle and Museum. To be completely honest, there's not a whole lot to do here, but it's a super beautiful, teeny tiny, charming town that's only 15 minutes from Brighton on the train, so I definitely think it's worth a visit. You can head to the castle right away and then walk through the downtown, grab a coffee or a beer at one of the various breweries, and then make your way over to South Over Grange Gardens for beautiful views and a picnic before heading to Priory Park to see some ancient ruins and just wrap up your chill day. We actually saw some LARPing, live action role playing, which I've never actually seen in person. I just remember seeing it from the movie Role Models and thought it was hilarious. So it was super fun for us to just chill in the park with these medieval ancient ruins behind us and then people LARPing right in front of us. It was just surreal. And of course we have London, which is only an hour away by train, and I have a ton of London content coming soon, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on some detailed London itineraries, some hidden gems to visit in London, and so much more. Now let's dive into how to actually move to the UK in regards to cost of living, visas, and finding an apartment.